Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Beer Cave with your host, Audie Alvarado. Let's jump right in. This week we're going to be talking about a beer style that I really don't gravitate towards, but we're reviewing beer to inform and to educate and to drink beer, so might as well try everything. So this week we're going to be talking about a beer from Drastic Measures Brewing in Wadena, Minnesota. This is called their Humble Mumble. It is a double milk stout that has been conditioned on Oreos. So when we're looking at what makes beer, we strip it down to 4 parts, and that's malt, yeast, hops, and water. Beer in the category of stouts really focus on that malt profile, and this stout is a double milk stout, so they use milk sugar in it and they conditioned it on Oreo. So this really makes it a lot different than your Guinness or beers of that nature. So I'm really excited about this one. I've had some of their beer before and I really tend to enjoy what they make. This does come in a 16-ounce tall boy can. Looking at the can, very straightforward. It looks like there is a date on here. I think it says 03/12/20. This can is fairly old. It's still good, but it is getting to a older shelf life. I'll just read the can here. It says, "The Dunkin' is done. No need to make a mess sticking your grubby hands in your milk. This beer will do the work for you. We took our double milk stout and stuffed it full of real Oreo cookies and let it sit for a bit. The result is a decadent cookie concoction we think you'll flip for. Whether you were a twister or a purist, you'll get that flavor that you loved when you were a kid without the sticky fingers. Keep cold, drink fresh." That's a long write-up. So a lot of orange on the can, and I think that's kind of silhouettes of Oreos back there. Simple, straightforward can. I like it. Their logo is pretty cool too. Let's not waste time and just get right into it. First off, this is really interesting. It's very dark. When I was pouring it, there was kind of a caramely tinge to it. It almost looked like I was pouring Coca-Cola out of a can. Carbonation looks very soda-like. I am seeing floaties, what look like the cream to Oreos floating on top in little specks. They did throw a crap ton of Oreos in this and then let it sit. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't filter out any of that cream from the Oreos when they packaged this. Try to pick this up and get some aromas if I can. That smells like a stout. Lots of roasted malts. You know, you get a little bit of the like a burnt chocolate almost. I don't get a lot of cream. Maybe a little bit of that cookie aroma as well. Let's go in for a sip here. That is an Oreo. If Oreos were in liquid form, this would be it. I do get a little bit of bitterness, but I don't think that's coming from the hops. It's really coming from the over-roasted malt. It's almost like dark chocolate bitter, but I do get a lot of that Oreo cream in the flavor. It's not very thick. It does have an oily slick to it, which most stouts do. I did look this up and they do consider it a double imperial stout, but this only comes in at 7.5. That's not very high. Usually when I'm looking at doubles or imperials, you're looking at 8 to 9 to 10%, anywhere even up to like 14%. This is only 7.5. I wouldn't call this a double milk stout. I'd just call it a milk stout with Oreos. But yeah, it's good though. And you can actually see those specks, the white specks that I was talking to you about that are floating. I think that is from the Oreos that they just left here to condition. So usually when you're talking about conditioning, you're letting the beer sit with whatever you're conditioning it with, whether that's fruit, chocolates, pastries, herbs and spices, etc., etc. They also don't say whether or not this has lactose in it. You know, one has to assume because it's a milk stout they used some kind of milk sugars or lactose. It's another fun night for me again. So yeah, that's one thing I would recommend for Drastic. Their write-up is good, but I would add a little more in what's actually in here other than just being Oreos, because not everybody knows that milk stouts usually have milk sugar in them or lactose. So I don't even know where Wadena is. I should really look this up. Looks like Wadena is actually between St. Cloud and Bemidji. Drastic Measures being out of Wadena, there's not a lot for craft beer in that area. I mean, you've got Beaver Island down in St. Cloud, but really it's kind of an untapped market for craft beer over there. So for them to be coming out with a stout that has Oreos in it is kind of progressive. Good for Drastic Measure for really stepping out of the box in their area. They weren't kidding when they said it's sticky, just because of how much sugar is in here. You know, you're adding in all those sugars from the malts, plus the milk sugar, plus all the sugar from the Oreos. This is not one to count calories on. I can almost feel the diabetes happening. Man, there are still a lot of floaties in here. I don't know if you guys can catch that on that camera, but there's a lot of floaties in this glass. It's almost like it has dandruff. Oh, that makes it really unappetizing. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay, not dandruff. I don't know why I keep calling it dandruff. Towards the bottom half of the glass, there is a little more bitterness coming through, but it's still nothing extreme, where it's almost rich dark chocolate. The cream from the Oreos is going away a little bit more, so it's kind of starting to become more of a true stout as it warms up. And that's the thing with beer. You never want to drink beer that's too cold. You start to mask some of those flavors, but you don't want to drink beer that's too warm either, because then you start skunking it. So you have to find that perfect balance of that perfect temperature. But again, now that it's getting a little bit warmer, it's getting a little more on that bitter side. Maybe I would want this a little bit colder, just so it kind of smooths itself out a little bit more and you get that vanilla cream and that dark chocolate working hand in hand. Oh my gosh. So I know that they said it's a double, and I was giving it a lot of crap for only being 7.5. But as it starts to warm up and it starts to open up those dark, bitter flavors, that 7.5 is peeking its head around the corner and saying hello. Hello. And it seems as if lately a lot of places are putting things in tall boy 16-ounce cans. Guys, I can't keep doing 16-ounce cans every show. It's a lot to get through for every show. Can we switch to 12-ounce cans? I really prefer that. It's so much easier. Going in for the last final sips. I don't tend to gravitate towards stouts because a lot of stouts have this certain quality to them that make it taste like soy sauce to me. And once you taste it, you can't untaste it for most stouts. But you bring along something like this that is conditioned on Oreos, or stouts that have some kind of gimmick, those tend to be okay with me. Let's give it a rating. So this was Humble Mumble by Drastic Measures Brewing. I don't know if I even mentioned that name at the start. Wow, it's like I don't even know how to run my own show. I really liked how this started. It was so delicious. It tasted like I was drinking liquid Oreos. I got like all that cookie flavor. I got a lot of that vanilla cream flavor and just tons of rich dark chocolate, which was phenomenal. But as it progressed, it got a little taxing. But overall, if you love stouts, you are gonna love this beer. It does everything a stout does and even more. Unfortunately, I have to give this a thumb sideways. That's leaning towards a thumb down. It started to lean a little too soy sauce for me, that I wanted it to be done before I got halfway through. Honestly, I think if this was in a 12-ounce can, I probably would have given it a solid words. Honestly, if it was in a 12-ounce can, I probably would have given it a thumb sideways, just because I could have gone through it with not having it go super bitter and super dark chocolate. But overall, it wasn't bad, and if you like stouts, you'll definitely love this. But again, stouts are not my cup of tea. Yeah, we're gonna give it a thumb sideways with a little bit on the thumbs down side, but still not a bad beer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Humble Mumble by Drastic Measure Brewing. If you liked this video, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you know when I upload videos. Give that a thumbs up if you liked it. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you've had this beer, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what you thought about this beer. This has been another episode of The Beer Cave with your host, Adi Alvarado, and until next time, cheers. I know that they said it was a double butt. Holy crap, I've had to pee since we f***ing started this thing. Why do I always pick glasses that don't fit the entire beer? Also, yeah. Cleanup time again. If water today, so this is dehydrating me a lot more. The things I do for this show. I feel like I'm putting on 10,000 calories right now.